Okay, hi guys, how are you? Today we have a special guest and we are going to talk about trucking business in America. And on my channel, I've been telling people that you have to know what type of jobs you want to get. There are some people who want to get very high educated jobs but don't have good pay. But I've been saying working in become a truck driver is one among the good jobs here in America. So I have a special guest is going to take us through the experience of being a truck driver here in America. Welcome, Jeff.
Hello, everybody.
Will you introduce yourself just a little bit to my people?
Jeffrey Stevenson, Ernest, my brother-in-law, asked me to get interviewed about the truck driving business, which I started about a year ago. I got into it and just really started enjoying and just driving from over the road to even locally. So,
question number one, what are the qualifications for someone to become a truck driver?
You do have to be 21 years of age and no experience in driving a truck. All you have to do is just have a high school diploma and apply to a big company with like Swift, CRST, Prime, Warner, just the different bunches of trucking businesses, but they will actually pay for you to go and learn how to drive either a manual transmission or an automatic transmission truck. But today's more day and age, they more go towards the automatic transmission. So if you can learn on a manual shift transmission truck would be ideal, because then you can drive anything for a Class A driver.
You said two important things. Number one or three, you need to be 21 years old, minimum of high school education, and even if you don't have training, they will train for you.
100%, yes, 100%. They will train you.
Because a lot of immigrants, my channel, most of people are watching are also immigrants, and they want to know, I'm driving a truck in my country. Can you drive a truck direct here, or you have to be trained to be driving here, especially for the truck?
You would have to be trained here first, and then you could become different parts in your job. You would learn through the company. Like if you went through the company that trained you, more than likely they're going to hire you on but they will check your background and everything. But when you become a driver, you are considered a professional driver as well. So, but you can drive in different states. I mean, when you go over the road, you can do regional, where you start from your home state and maybe go about from, like, say we're here in Missouri, you'll jump out to Kansas, you'll jump out to Oklahoma, you'll go out to like Texas, just like in a regional where you can make it back home to your home state of where you actually started.
How long is the training, and do you pay for that training?
Well, depending, if you go independently and you try to train, you can train, and independently you pay for yourself. And when you pay for yourself, you're looking at $6,500, $6,500 for that, to do for that kind of training. But if you go in with like CRST, Swift, Warner, Prime, like the big name companies, Western Express is one of them as well. They can actually pay and train you to. First thing they even do to train you is different way of how to drive the truck too. They'll make you drive it straight, like literally throw it in first gear and you'll just go straight, and then they'll make you look in your rear view mirror of your cars and your left one to say back up, and you'll be going from a 90-degree angle when you drive with one hand, literally, because I mean you can't literally turn your head around and look behind you because there's no rear view mirror in the window. You're looking, you really depend on your mirrors, and you got to know your depth perception on the mirrors as well. So I mean it's very important as you're trying to drive as well.
You train for 1 week, 1 month, 6 months, or a year?
Well, when I went actually to training, I went out, actually they trained me for 3 months straight. Like they took me and sent me to Colorado when I first went out. I went out to where's Colorado? Where did I go to? Kingsburg, Colorado is actually where I went. And from there, they put me in a room and board. It was all paid for, room and board. You just got to bring your own spending money. And
for your personal things,
like your personal things, like your clothes, your toothbrush, and then a little money for food while you're there as well, because you're going to be gone 3 months away from your family. That's the hardest, is trucking as well. You're away from your family, because when you originally start out, you start out over the road, but you do train for about 3 months, and then from after your 3 months, they throw you right in a job. Literally, they'll put you straight in a truck with a trainer, and then you have to have a certain amount of hours or miles met before they released you, because that trainer will actually watch you how you drive, sit there in the passenger seat, and yet you will be getting paid for your not your training, but your training with your personal trainer that you have driving the truck while picking up and backing up into docks and picking up and receiving loads in your truck as well.
Speaking of payments, there are two types of payments. Number one is when you are still in the training with your official, the driver is helping to train, and when you graduate from your trainer. What is the difference in terms of the pay? How much do they pay in the...
Well, it varies on the company. Like if you're over the road, they pay you by the mile. And there's different ways of getting paid by the mile. You can ride solo, which you kind of make a little less money, and it varies depending on the company. You can start out like how I did, 32 cents a mile. You can go all the way up to like $2 a mile, and that's ideal, to $3 and $3.50 a mile. And you'll be driving from state to state. I mean, literally from New York to California, or Florida to like Washington. I mean, Oregon, wherever. I mean, and that's some money. But when you work as teams, the truck is constantly moving and you're making more miles. And the average day of how many miles you drive is usually about, on a good day with no traffic, because you got to love sitting in traffic, with cars. I'll tell you that much. That's a big one too. If you can't mind traffic, on a good day, you drive about a good 500 miles a day to 600 miles if you really push it hard. But the trucks are also governed at a speed, literally 65 to sometimes 72 miles an hour.
So per day, it depends on how you get paid. If it is $1, so you can make $500 per day.
Well, you'll make a little more than that. When you first start out, you get paid like more of like entering in. It's a factory kind of job, like you're working in a factory, like you're a good factory worker job. You'll start out probably making like $600 to $700 a week.
$600 to $700
a week. That's just starting out, and then the more experience you have, which truckers love, the more experience, like especially truck driving job, they love loyalty for your job and like your tenure of how long you were there. They love that how much experience you have. The more experience in different types of trucking as well. There's dry van, which is just like how you drive down a big rig and you see an 18-wheeler, you're seeing a shell. Those are trailers. Those are called dry vans. And then they have reefers. Reefers are heating and cooling trailers where you can keep frozen food, cold refrigerated food, and then there's also flatbedding. Flatbedding is like heavy hauling, like where you see people carrying like big tractors or giant homes, or like someone carrying the stuff with a freeway and everything as well. So different types of jobs, but experience is main one, and loyalty to one company, because if you go from job to job to job, and also you cannot get tickets. If you get tickets just in your pedestrian car, as we call them, that's your everyday vehicle, like your car you drive to and home from the grocery store. That would be, if you get a ticket in that, well, they'll frown upon you about it, because you're considered a high priority as a driver, and you should know the laws in and out from driving, because not only do you take a test, you have to take an air brake test, you got to take air brakes, then you got to take safety test, your vehicle training driving test, just like you do for your Class C. And then I can't think of the other one off the top of my head right now this very second, but there's 3 tests that you actually take. And what you do is you pass those, and that's just the basics. And then once you get into the basics and you want to make more money, the more money, how you make that as well too, speaking back onto the money part, you get your doubles and triples. And that means you can pull 2 trailers at once. And that means each trailer that you drive is 55 feet long as well. So you can drive at 110 feet worth of trailer, plus you got your tractor, which is the truck, that's what we call them, tractors. You take that, so you're looking like at least like 200 feet in length, just driving that. But you still have to be aware of all the conditions of the rain, sleet, snow, or hot weather. You got to check your tread on your tires for safety. You got to inspect your truck out there, because when you're out there as well, it's a whole different game, because you're basically by yourself if you're driving solo. And when you're with your team, you can rely on your teammate, like I said, when you make more money as well.
So per year, how much money can you make when you are starting and when you are experienced? How much can you make per year?
Oh, well, from just starting out, you get out and you make about 700 with about a year per week. And it also depends on the company. You can get every 2 weeks, but usually kind of in trucking, you get paid every weekly. You start out about 700, and then when you get a year, you're bringing home at least $1,000 to $1,500 guaranteed after a year. 2 years, you can bring home up to $2,500 to $3,000 after 2 years. A week. That's that's bring home. That
So
is pure
after deductions, you go with the 2,000 to 3,000 a
easily.
week.
Easily.
So you can make over
100, you can bring home about $150,000 a year.
that's
Easily,
a lot of money.
easily, and the more, and if you become an actual owner operator of your own truck, that means your tractor and your own trailer and everything, you can bring up to people. I've seen my trainer, and I personally saw his check. He showed me. You're not supposed to, but he showed me. I said, "Man, what do you make?" Because I hear you get to be picky. You can, and this is driving cross country over the road as well.
Yes.
When you're getting picky, you can pick and you can check it out, do the math. You can make $3.50 a mile. Okay, from just California alone to here to Missouri, you're talking about 1,500 miles. 1,500 miles times $3.50.
That's a lot.
You're bringing home a good $2,000. That's a week. Bring home, and that's with taxes out. I mean, you can make really good money. So it's a very good career in getting into, like which I like.
The other question is, for someone who is brand new in America, do you recommend that person to get into the truck business, to become a truck driver, for the matter of security of the job and getting that good pay, instead of, yes, you can start the jobs you can make at Walmart, you can make at this one, but you cannot make 50,000, forget about 150,000 by working at Walmart. But this one, you see, 2 years, 3 years, to make 100,000, that is just like someone who is a doctor or somebody like that.
You do have to invest time. Like with every company you do work with, you do have to put tenure into your job. Like you would have to sit there and be dedicated. But then again, you can drive for a company for 2 years and then say, adios amigo, adios friends, and then go find a bigger, better paying company. And it all different. And that's like what I was saying before, your endorsements. Hazmat is basically what you have corrosive chemicals, explosives, gun ammo, like anything that's flammable, corrosive liquids, like I said again, and just different things. But that's a whole new game when you get that. When you get
it's a special certification.
Yeah, when you get into that special certification, they do a background check like you're going into the IRS military. They check you inside out. Have you ever, like, they check your backgrounds. If you straight try to murder someone, they look at you like if you're trying to be a president. They look at you inside and out and gut you, pretty much, is what they do.
You get paid more because of the background and the nature of sensitivity of that particular what you are carrying.
Right, and also with the hazmat, you can only have it and you have to renew and take a test. You have to take a test for it as well, and it's all in the DMV handbook. You look at it, and also it all depends which schooling that you go to, because you do have to go to a truck driving school, and they will teach you how to do different maneuvers like an alley dock, straight backing. They'll also show you an alley dock is when you're at like a 90-degree angle and you have to swing it around. But you also got to imagine you only got a 12-foot gap, and you have to maneuver a 55-foot trailer into that gap and not hit any of those trailers. Because if you get in an accident, boy oh boy, you get a ding on your license. And if you get a ding on your license, accidents, tickets, and all that, then you'll be cut, fired, and you can get a hold on your license until it falls off your personal driving record as well. But with the hazmat, you have to take a test at least every, I think it's either every 1 to 4 years, depending on how the DMV works that. Because I actually haven't gotten my hazmat yet, but I have gotten my doubles, triples, and I also have gotten my tankers, which is a tanker is different. That's where like hauling waters and liquids and gasoline and everything else, and different parts of trucking as well.
For you, while you went for the trucking, you are married. What are the challenges for someone who is married? I know it will be different from someone who is single, doesn't have any dependent living with them. But what are the overall just the challenges of being trucking plus trucking business or truck driver who has a family, like married or with children?
With trucking, I always tell my wife it's more of for a single man's job, because you're always on the road, you're always on the run, and then I'm not gonna lie, I used to be 160. I'll tell you that much. Skinny, just kidding. But I mean, I put on a lot of weight because
you are sitting on the
you're
truck.
Sitting in a truck for at least 14 hours a day. Every shift that you work in trucking is a 14-hour day driving a truck. And within traffic, going through all the different interstates, all the different highways, freeways, and everything else. And your wife and your family, and like if you're a starting out family, it's really hard. I mean, you're going to be away from your family. I mean, yet you do get home time. I'll give you that. But you're only going to get a 34-hour reset. You're going to get 34 hours. You'll work Monday through Friday, or no, okay, over the road, you're out at least 4 weeks, a whole month at a time. Then you'll come home and you'll have 3 days off. You might get 3 or 34 hours of a reset. Then after you get your 34 hours, boom, you're back on the road and you're driving for a whole nother month. So you're basically away from your family a lot. So you're basically out there and need a good phone where you can FaceTime and have a strong backbone between you and relationships with your family. I mean, it's good money in the long run, but like you do take a pay cut when you drive locally.
That was my other question. What if you want to drive just within the state? Every day you sleep at your home, you don't go across the country, you don't go from California to New Orleans or to Massachusetts to whatever, Florida. It's just you want to drive within California, within Missouri, within Kansas. Every day you come back home. How much is the pay different from one state or from long distance?
It varies, like I said, and then it goes back on experience. With the experience, the more higher experience you got, the more you're going to sit there and get the better job that you want with the better pay. Locally, though, like if you want just a regular 9-to-5 job, which it won't be because you're going to still work within a 14-hour gap because that's how truck drivers are. You're going to bring probably $1,000 guaranteed bring home, $900 to $1,000 to $1,100 bring home a week. That's a week. So you'll bring home about good $4,000 a month.
So $4,000 to $5,000 a month
per month, local. But you can also, if you have 2, 3, 4 years of experience, you can find that one company and either get paid hourly or you can get paid by the mile. By the mile, to me, you're chasing your money is what you're doing when you're driving by the mile. Yeah, in the long run, if you drive with all the states, excluding Hawaii and Alaska, you can do a little work in Canada and Mexico as well. You can go a little bit, but otherwise, you can make good money in the long run too if you make it a full-blown career. But you still make good money working locally too, but you just got to find the right job that fits you, and they usually will top you out. Like there's one place out here called Central Transport. They start you out at $28 an hour, and you can top out at $32 an hour, and you can go from one company and make $1,500 a week. I mean, that's bring home too, but you'll still go home and sleep in your bed, but you're only going to have, from the time you clock out, you're going to have exactly 10 hours till you start your next shift. You'll clock out, go home, eat dinner, sleep, and then you might have 2 days. You will have 2 days off for the week, and that's again, you'll be going from here in Missouri, you'll go from Arkansas,
just nearby states.
Yeah, nearby states. You'll drive with JB Hunt. With JB Hunt, I was doing Aldi groceries, and you go from here in Missouri all the way to Arkansas, and you'll have 3 stops for the day. You'll have to back it up into a dock, you pull it up, open the trailers, back it up into a dock, then unload it and separate all the cool stuff that's from the cooler and also the frozen, and put it in you can't leave them out. You got to put them in the actual freezer. You got to put them in the cooler, and then the produce you leave out and they'll stock, because if you put it in the cooler, they'll wilt. But you can bring home, just with that job alone, you can make at least $100,000 a year at JB Hunt as well, guaranteed. But so there is good jobs locally too, and you get to sleep in your bed every night. But then you'll either be working nights, or which is mostly in trucking. But if you get enough experience and you really don't mind the pay, you can drive everyday construction jobs and have Class A license and drive just a regular dump truck, but then or a cement truck every day. But your hours and your sleep schedule will be completely out of whack, because when you're a cement truck driver, they want special time, because they want to start early. They want to sit there that you have to be there at 5 a.m. or you might have to start at 2 in the morning, and you might have to drive 100 miles just before you get to that next place, and you'll have to unload, drop all the cement and where they want it, and then once they're done with that load, you'll go do another load, and then you got to do that, and then but you start at different times throughout in different trucking, and a lot of them mostly you'll start at nights. But there are day jobs out there, but like you said, you will definitely be taking a pay cut from it as well you're doing that. But yeah. But
overall, it's a very good thing, especially if you are single, number one. But even if you are married with a family, it's just to make sure that how long can you be able to use for a longer distance, then how can you find the local way with your experience, you are saying your tenure, and how you can be able to continue with that. But one last question I want to ask. I heard in Become a Truck at one point, you can decide to own your own truck. How does that work?
Well, they got, with your company, first off, you'll have to save money. Like you're gonna buy and lease a truck. They have it's called a lease program. And it's just like leasing any other car or any kind of truck. But when you're leasing and actually a truck, you're looking at almost buying pretty dang close to a house. Like they're really expensive. But you'll make way more money in the long run, especially for your families. And when you get into making that kind of money and driving with your family, I mean, and also you can bring pets. You can even bring your family. You and your wife can work as a team. I mean, it all too. They can learn to come with you together and make it as a team project and just be like, wow, live on the road and see all 52 states every day. You know, it's a good gig and everything. But you definitely, when with your family, it's hard in the beginning. But to lease a truck, you would want to save money for yourself, because when you lease a truck, you have to repair it yourself, because then when you're leasing it, you're owning it.
Yes.
And when you own it, not only are you putting your mileage on it, you got to remember you're putting the own mileage. It's like we're driving your own car. You got to change the oil. You got to change the fluids. You got to check the windshield wipers. You got to see if they're cracked, because you're driving in all terrains. You're driving through deserts, mountains, where else? Forests, rains and rain, sleet, snow, dry, hot heat, through all the different states and everything. So I mean, you really got to have a good nest egg of money before you actually get into that truck, because you have to take care of everything. Say a mud flap rips, you can get dinged for that, because you have to go through weight scales. When you're going through weight scales, you got to know your weights of your front wheels, your back wheels, and your back trailers and everything. So you got to go from 36 to 26, 36, and like altogether, like you can be up to, I can't remember it off the top of my head, but you have to be an average certain weight, because if you're over certain weights in your truck as well, then you can also get dinged, and they can fine you, and they could also shut you down, because you're going through CHP weights and measures, and they'll weigh you. They tell you when you drive, you'll see a sign, weight scale open, you have to drive through it, unless you get a clear pass and they say go, and then you can go. But then if they find or get you for something and say, oh, you're not wearing your seatbelt, oh, you have a flat tire, we're pulling you over, you're out of commission until you get it fixed, then, like I said, you're your own owner and operator out there. So that means you got to call the tow truck. You got to call, you can't, I mean, yeah, you can call the company and say, hey, I'm missing this load, I can't get it there on time, because you're always chasing time when you're on the road as well. When you're on the road, you got to load. And say you're driving a reefer truck, and that has a full bunch of groceries. You're driving those groceries, and I mean, which is mostly local, but I mean, sometimes they'll give you frozen food, and you have to take it all the way up to this next state over. You get a flat tire, you're out of commission, you can't drive. With your own owner and operator, you got to call a tow truck, get it towed. Once you get towed, you got to get the tire fixed, and that's all out of your pocket. That's all your money. That's not their money for the company. The company is what hired you and paid you. You're called your own owner and operator. You have your own truck, you have your own trailer, but then you can also be your owner operator with your own tractor, and then you can use their trailers as well. But then their trailers is a totally different thing. Yeah, that's on them. You can call them and say, fix your own trailer and all that. And then you'll call them and say, hey, you need to fix this. And you go to a truck stop, and they'll sit there and they'll work with them, and they'll pay a portion. But if it's on your own truck, you're paying for it all.
I would like to say thank you so much for coming to my channel and taking the time to give this good information. I believe it will help a lot of people, especially immigrants and looking for jobs, especially stability, on how we can get a good job. jobs.
We're always needed. We're always needing in truck driving. I mean, there's anywhere you go, truck drivers, we're essential just as much as the nurses and doctors out there. How would they get their surgical instruments? Truckers send it to them. How do you get food on your table? Truckers. So you thank farmers, you thank truckers, and you also thank the nurses and doctors out there. So when all in all, I love trucking. It's a great career to get into, and we accept anyone and everyone.
Thank you so much. May God bless you.
Thank you. Go Dodgers.
Thank you.